Under the cold white glare of the hospital lights, the beeping of the heart monitor echoed like a countdown, each sound measuring the seconds left for a fragile child. Evan, only 12, lay motionless on the bed, his thin eyes wide open, not with fear, but with a deep and burning resentment. Just beyond the glass door of the emergency ward, a woman stood frozen, one trembling hand pressed tightly to her chest, her eyes swollen red. She was Sarah, the stepmother Evan had never once called Mom. Then came the doctor's voice, sharp and merciless as a blade cutting through the silence. "Without a compatible bone marrow donor, there is nothing more we can do." The room fell into a suffocating hush, before every gaze turned to Sarah. She swallowed hard, her heart tightening, for she knew the unbearable truth. She was the only one who could save the life of the very child staring at her with such unyielding hatred. But would Evan accept blood from someone he considered nothing more than a stranger? In a small town on the outskirts of Ohio, where rows of crimson maples flared each autumn and winding asphalt roads led to the single hospital in the region, Evan had once known a warm and intact family. That warmth vanished the day a rare illness claimed his mother. The house, once filled with laughter, became hollow, its nights broken only by the sound of turning pages. Mark, his father, carried grief in silence, but longed to give his son a complete home again. He remarried Sarah, a gentle elementary school teacher who believed patience could soften any heart. Yet her arrival did not bring safety. To Evan, she was an intruder, a replacement trespassing upon sacred memories. Every attempt she made, cooked breakfasts, handwritten notes before exams, birthday gifts wrapped with care, was rejected. He left meals untouched, shoved aside her cakes, tore apart the gifts she so carefully prepared. Around town, neighbors looked on with both pity and caution, a woman trying desperately to reach a child's wounded heart, and a boy slamming the door shut with cold defiance. Inside their white-porched two-story home, the invisible wall between Sarah and Evan grew thicker by the day, leaving Mark powerless, and Sarah clinging to a single fragile hope, that one day her quiet kindness would finally touch the part of Evan most deeply scarred. Sarah, the stepmother, is not drawn as flawless, but as a woman with cracks etched across her heart. A teacher by profession, she was used to the innocence of children, yet in this new family, her skills seemed useless. Gentle and patient, she often wept in silence when her efforts collapsed. Her strength came from love for Mark and a steadfast belief that Evan would one day see her sincerity. Evan, 12, is the storm at the center. Intelligent, sensitive, his bright eyes cloaked in ice. He adored his late mother and saw Sarah as a betrayal of that memory. Every small act, rejecting her meals, refusing to greet her, was his message. "You will never be my mom." Mark, the father, was torn in two. He loved his son, but witnessed Sarah's sacrifices. Each night, he sat in the dim living room, coffee cold, wondering how to mend their fractured hearts. And then there was Dr. Collins, the steady physician, a witness to the family's struggle. Through his calm eyes, we see them clearly. A boy resisting, a woman persisting, a father wavering, all forced into a collision where love and resentment clash. The storm broke on a gray morning. Evan was diagnosed with a rare blood disorder, and his only chance was a bone marrow transplant. In a hospital conference room heavy with fluorescent light, Dr. Collins laid down the results like verdicts. Mark's test was incompatible. Relatives were ruled out one by one. Then the final line struck like a blade. Only match, Sarah Miller. The air froze. Evan shot up from his chair, pale but burning with fury. "No! I'd rather die than take anything from her." His scream cracked the room apart. Mark stood paralyzed. Sarah's knees buckled, her hands clutched the table edge. No tears came, only a silent anguish flooding her eyes as if her very soul had been refused. Evan stormed out, leaving the air thick, suffocating, impossible to breathe. The house became a battlefield. Sarah quietly prepared meals, set medicine by Evan's desk, yet he ignored it all. His words cut like knives. "You're doing this to prove something? You'll never be my mother." Mark pleaded, his voice shaking. "Evan, you can't throw away your only chance." But he too was helpless, trapped between wife and son. Sarah endured, night after night, sitting alone in the kitchen, clutching her donor file, eyes fixed on the stairs where Evan slept. Her pain hardened into resolve. Even if he despised her, she would save him. Yet that very determination deepened Evan's wound. He felt cornered, forced to accept love he had not chosen. Thus the wall grew taller. On one side, unconditional love. On the other, ruthless rejection. And in the middle, the fragile life of a boy, suspended over the storm of their hearts. The day of surgery arrived, the hospital air thick with countdown tension. Evan, pale and curled on his bed, shoved aside the consent form. "I won't sign. I don't want anything from her." Sarah, outside the door, leaned against the wall to keep from collapsing. Dr. Collins sighed, murmuring to Mark, "Without his consent, we cannot proceed." The silence pressed like iron, broken only by the steady beep of machines. Then Sarah gathered courage and handed the doctor a sealed envelope. In shaky handwriting, "For Evan. Read when you're ready." Evan hesitated, torn between rage and curiosity. At last, he unfolded the letter. The words inside began to unravel the wall he had built for years. The letter did not defend Sarah. It spoke of a rainy afternoon when Evan's dying mother had clutched Sarah's hand and whispered, "Please take care of him. Don't let him ever feel alone." From that moment, Sarah wrote, Evan was not a stepson, but a sacred promise. She vowed to honor his mother's love, no matter how he resisted. Evan's hands shook as he read. Memories of his mother rose, intertwined with Sarah's quiet eyes, her stubborn presence. For the first time, he saw her not as an intruder, but as the keeper of his mother's final wish. Tears fell. The fortress of hatred cracked, a thin light piercing through. Perhaps the very arms he rejected were the ones holding his chance to live. That morning, the operating room blazed with sterile light. After reading the letter through the night, Evan finally signed, hand trembling. Mark hugged his son, shoulders shaking with relief, while Sarah managed only a fragile smile, the smile of someone whose years of patience had finally found meaning. As the doors closed, Mark held Sarah's hand, not from duty this time, but from trust. Inside, machines beeped like pounding hearts. Hours stretched like eternity until Dr. Collins emerged, lowering his glasses, rare joy in his voice. The transplant succeeded. He will have a chance to live like any other child. Mark wept openly. Sarah sank into her chair, tears brimming, but this time they were tears of triumph, of a mother who had kept her promise. Days later, in a sunlit recovery room, Evan stirred. His face was still fragile, but color had returned. Sarah sat beside him, her arm bandaged from the donation, eyes fixed on him. Evan turned, saw her, and the bitter words of the past dissolved. Silence lingered. Then his hoarse voice broke through. "Mom." One word. Yet it shattered every wall, erasing years of defiance. Sarah froze. Then tears streamed down. Mark turned away, wiping his own. Their hands clasped together, no longer divided by blood or step, but united as a true family. Outside the window, dawn poured in, light spreading like justice delivered, like wounds healed. They had endured their hardest trial, and in the end, they found what mattered most: each other. As the sunrise spilled across the hospital roof, this story revealed a simple but profound truth. Love does not require blood to be sacred. Sarah, once branded stepmother with disdain, proved that real love makes no demand, asks no return, and defies cold prejudice. Evan, the boy who rejected her, discovered that some arms, though not the ones that gave him life, would still give their life to save his. And Mark, the father caught between them, finally saw that family is not defined by titles on paper, but by sacrifice, forgiveness, and bonds forged in trial. When Evan whispered, "Mom," in that recovery room, it was more than a word. It was proof that compassion can tear down walls of hatred, heal invisible wounds, and guide us back to one another. The lesson is clear. Never judge too quickly, for the one you dismiss today may be the very one who saves you tomorrow.